My name is Elena Carter, and I'm 39. I learned the hard way that family loyalty has its limits when my own mother rose at my ex-husband's custody hearing and declared me unfit to parent my own child. Your Honor, my daughter has always been unstable. My mother's voice rang sharply through the crowded courtroom, carrying far more weight than I had ever imagined. She struggles to maintain steady work. She's been in and out of therapy, and frankly, she shouldn't have custody of my grandson at all. I sat at the defense table in a simple charcoal blazer and cream blouse, my chestnut hair pulled back neatly in the style I had kept for years. The faint mark from the wedding ring I had removed 6 months prior gleamed subtly under the harsh courtroom lighting. Across from me, my ex-husband Daniel Ross gave a self-satisfied smirk, while his high-powered attorney nodded along with my mother's scathing words. It was obvious they had orchestrated this, knowing my mother's testimony would carry immense influence. She has never been able to provide stability, my mother pressed on, her voice rising as she leaned into her narrative. She vanishes for days, claiming work obligations, yet I have never seen proof of any consistent employment. My grandson deserves a real home with a father who has a successful career and can genuinely support him. My 8-year-old son, Liam, sat in the front row beside my sister, Natalie, his wide eyes reflecting confusion as he listened to his grandmother speak against me. Natalie avoided my gaze, her silence echoing the damning impact of my mother's words. I thought back over the past 2 years since my divorce countless nights, spent wrestling with custody logistics while simultaneously managing some of the most demanding cases in the state court system. I had carefully balanced my responsibilities as a mother and my professional obligations, ensuring Liam never felt the absence of one over the other. My daughter lives in a modest downtown apartment, drives an aging car, and struggles to cover her son's school expenses, my mother continued. Meanwhile, Daniel has a spacious home in the suburbs, a steady income, and can provide the life every child deserves. Judge Madeline Prescott presided over the courtroom with an expression of careful neutrality. I had known her professionally for over a decade, someone who understood the pressures of our field, yet she showed no recognition, maintaining the impartiality required of her role. Furthermore, my mother's voice climbed to a crescendo. Elena has always been secretive about her so-called work. She claims to have an important job, but won't say exactly what it is. Who knows what she might be involved in, perhaps even something dangerous for my grandson. A low murmur of agreement swept through the courtroom. Daniel's family occupied the left side of the gallery, nodding along with her ruthless character. Attack. My own side was nearly empty, just a handful of friends who knew the real me and had taken time off work to show support. Daniel's attorney, Richard Palmer, rose to address the court. Your Honor, the testimony demonstrates clearly that the child's best interests would be served by granting full custody to my client. The mother's inability to provide basic stability, coupled with her secrecy about employment, raises serious concerns about her parenting capacity. I remained seated, hands folded calmly, watching this carefully plotted assault unfold. 15 years of experience in the judiciary had taught me the power of patience, of letting others expose themselves before revealing your hand. Carter, Judge Prescott addressed me directly. How do you respond to these claims regarding your employment and ability to care for your son? I rose slowly, measured and composed. Your Honor, I would like to call a witness to address these concerns. Richard Palmer looked bewildered. Your Honor, we were not informed of any witnesses. The witness became available only this morning, I replied evenly. I believe his testimony will clarify all questions regarding my employment and stability. Judge Prescott inclined her head. Very well. Call your witness. I moved to the courtroom doors and opened them. A tall man in a dark tailored suit stepped inside, silver hair meticulously styled, his presence commanding immediate respect. "Your Honor," I announced, my voice carrying through the suddenly hushed room. I called Chief Justice Alexander Monroe to the stand. Gasps filled the courtroom. My mother's confident demeanor faltered, turning to shock and disbelief. As the Chief Justice of the State Supreme Court, his voice was formal yet carried a warmth that instantly commanded attention. "You are the Honorable Elena Carter, Associate, Justice of the State Supreme Court, where you have served with distinction for the past 8 years." The courtroom fell utterly silent. I could hear my mother's sharp gasp and see Daniel's lawyer frantically flipping through papers. I turned back to the Chief Justice. "Chief Justice Monroe, could you please explain the nature of my professional responsibilities?" He nodded steadily. "Justice Carter presides over some of the state's most intricate civil and criminal matters. She sits on the appellate panel for death penalty cases, chairs the Judicial Ethics Committee, and has authored landmark decisions in family law and child welfare." Liam's eyes widened as realization dawned on him. Suddenly, the countless late nights, my long disappearances into stacks of legal briefs, and the weighty discussions at the study table made sense. He understood why I spoke with such authority on fairness and justice. "One more question, Chief Justice," I said, my voice calm but firm. "Could you address the allegations regarding my financial stability?" A small smile crossed his face. "Justice Carter earns an annual salary of $195,000 plus benefits. She owns a penthouse apartment downtown and maintains a vacation home in the mountains. Her financial records are public, as required of all sitting judges." I turned to face the courtroom. My mother's mouth fell open, her carefully constructed testimony collapsing before her eyes. "Your Honor," I addressed Judge Prescott, "I'd like to explain why my family was unaware of my position." The judge leaned in, intrigued. 8 years ago, when I was confirmed to the state Supreme Court, I chose to separate my professional life from my personal one. Not out of shame, but so that my son could have a normal childhood, free from the pressures that accompany being a judge's child. I looked at Liam, whose expression blended pride and confusion. "I live modestly, drive a practical car, and shop at regular stores instead of luxury boutiques. I wanted you to learn the value of hard work and humility, not entitlement from your mother's title," I explained gently. Daniel stared at me as though seeing me for the first time. During our marriage, he had constantly belittled my boring courthouse job, never asking for details. The long hours, the legal briefs, the judicial conferences, all of it had seemed invisible to him. "The reason I am occasionally unavailable," I continued, "is because I handle cases that can last weeks or months. I sometimes miss school, events because I am drafting legal opinions that impact thousands of families statewide." Chief Justice Monroe spoke again. "If I may add, Your Honor, Justice Carter possesses one of the sharpest legal minds I have encountered in 30 years. Her rulings have been upheld at the federal level, and she has received national recognition for her work in family law." I walked back to the defense table, but I was no longer a defendant. I was a sitting judge with 15 years of experience, renowned for fairness, precision, and integrity. "Your Honor," I said, turning to Judge Prescott, "I have devoted my career to protecting children and families. I have authored rulings that removed children from abusive situations, established fair custody arrangements, and consistently placed child welfare above all else." The courtroom was hushed. The claim that I was unfit to care for my own son was not only false, it was a slight to every family I had served and every child whose interests I had safeguarded from that very bench. I turned to my mother, pale and trembling. "What hurts?" Most is that these allegations come from people who never bothered to understand my work, never showed curiosity about my career, and assumed the worst without seeking the truth. Daniel's lawyer was visibly scrambling. Your Honor, we had no knowledge of— Of what? I interrupted sharply. That your client was married to a sitting Supreme Court justice for 6 years and never tried to learn what she actually did. Judge Prescott leaned forward. Mr. Palmer, did your client truly not know his wife's profession during their marriage? Daniel finally spoke, stammering. She said she worked at the courthouse. I thought she was a clerk or something. The absurdity hung in the room like a dark cloud. I had been married to a man who assumed I was a mere clerk for 6 years, never questioning my long hours, the thick legal briefs I carried home, or the judicial conferences I attended. Your Honor, I said firmly, I would like to submit my judicial performance evaluations, my financial disclosure forms, and the custody assessment conducted by Dr. Miranda Ellis, the court-appointed child psychologist. Approached the witness stand. Financial disclosure forms and my custody evaluation report prepared by Dr. Meredith Stone, a court-appointed child psychologist. Judge Prescott reviewed the documents carefully. Dr. Stone rated you as an exemplary parent with a strong bond to your child and no concerns regarding your ability to provide care, guidance, or stability. I scanned the courtroom one last time. My mother avoided my gaze, her composure shattered. My sister, Olivia, looked ashamed. Daniel stared at the floor, and Liam's wide eyes reflected a mixture of awe and newfound pride. Your Honor, I said, my voice steady yet charged with conviction, I have devoted my career to putting children's best interests first in custody decisions. I have witnessed firsthand the damage caused when parents weaponize children, when relatives manipulate truth for personal gain, when assumptions override evidence. My voice grew firmer, unwavering. I am requesting full physical custody of my son, with supervised visitation for the father until he successfully completes court-mandated co-parenting classes. I also request that future custody matters exclude extended family members who have shown a willingness to provide false testimony. Judge Prescott nodded solemnly. Given the evidence and the concerning testimony presented by the defendant's mother, I am granting full custody to Justice Carter. Visitation for the father will be supervised for the next 6 months, with potential revision contingent upon successful completion of the parenting program. As the courtroom began to clear, Liam ran to me, wrapping his small arms around my waist. Mom, why didn't you tell me you were a judge? He whispered. I knelt to meet his gaze. Because I wanted you to love me as your mother, not because of my job. I think it's really cool. He grinned. So, does this mean you can send people to jail? Sometimes, I admitted with a soft laugh. But mostly, I help families figure out how to take care of each other. My mother approached tentatively, her earlier arrogance gone. Elena, I had no idea. I'm so sorry. I stood, arm around Liam's shoulders. You testified, under oath, that I was unfit to parent without understanding my life, my career, or my capabilities. You were willing to damage my relationship with my son based on assumptions and bias. Tears filled her eyes. I thought I was helping. She murmured. I understand, I said calmly. But Marcus said what he needed to say to gain custody, and you believed him over your own daughter. The courtroom was nearly empty, save for family and a few lingering observers. For 15 years, you asked about my work, and I gave vague answers to preserve privacy. Yet you never pressed, never truly inquired. You assumed that because I didn't boast. I had nothing to boast about. I turned to Olivia, quietly weeping in the front row. I became a judge at 31, one of the youngest in state history. I've authored rulings taught in law schools, protected thousands of children and families, and dedicated my life to justice and fairness. Chief Justice Monroe, who had been waiting respectfully in the gallery, approached. Elena, I hope this experience does not dissuade you from your exceptional work. Thank you, Chief Justice, I replied. If anything, it has reminded me why our work is so essential. As we left the courthouse, Liam's small hand in mine, I reflected on the lessons this ordeal had taught me. I had spent so much energy shielding my son from the complications of my position that I had hidden my true self from the very people who should have known me best. More importantly, I realized that respect earned through assumptions is worthless, while respect, grounded in integrity, is uncheckable. 6 months later, Daniel completed his parenting classes and earned unsupervised visitation. He never remarried and never again questioned my ability to provide for our son. My mother sent a letter of apology, which I never responded to. Some betrayals are too deep to simply forgive. Liam now proudly tells his friends that his mother is a judge. He understands the importance of justice, fairness, and standing up for what is right. He has also learned that the people who love you most can sometimes hurt you deeply, but that does not diminish your value. As for me, I learned that hiding your light does not protect you. It only makes it easier for others to underestimate you. I stopped concealing my accomplishments, embraced my achievements, and taught my son that integrity and diligence are to be celebrated. The woman who had entered the courtroom feeling cornered and alone left vindicated and strong. The difference wasn't in what I had achieved. It was in finally allowing others to see who I had always been. Justice, I realized, is not only something you serve, it is something you claim for yourself.